want to talk a little bit about managing sensory sensitivities out in the world, because at home, and I'm going to talk more about this, but at home, you generally have more control over your environment, whereas out in the world, it can be more challenging because you don't. When I was a kid, I would get sick every time I went to the mall. I had two older sisters, and I'd go shopping with them, and I would get a migraine headache or I'd get a stomach ache. One time I even was throwing up in the middle of the mall in one of those ashtray can things, if you remember those, to my sister's mortification. And, I didn't, of course, understand, and neither did my family, why that would happen. But looking back now, I'm sure it was just all of the sensory input, all of, the lighting, the lack of fresh air, possibly the chemicals from all the new products for sale, all the people, all the noise. So shopping's not one of my favorite things to do, but you got to do it sometimes. And I have, kind of found some strategies that help with that. Even going to the grocery store can be overwhelming for me, depending on, kind of my level of stress. But one thing that is really important is being grounded, really being connected to the earth. If you don't know about grounding, I do have a grounding and centering practice. I think I want to redo it and make a little better one, but you can look for that on my YouTube channel and practice that. And the other thing I think is just really managing your attention. So I don't know if everybody feels this way, but one thing I realized that part of my overwhelm comes from, I am paying attention to everything, like too much. And so this kind of, I've noticed this like maybe in a group setting, like maybe at a gathering or a party, and I'm trying to listen because I want people to feel listened to, and I want, to pay attention to people. But when there's a lot of people and a lot of different conversations going on and back and forth, and I have found that if I just kind of space out, kind of tune it out for a while, it helps me to be able to stay longer. And I also found that like in classes, when I take continuing education classes or something, and I sometimes see people, not really paying attention, and all of a sudden it clicked for me. I'm like, okay, I don't have to pay attention to every single word. And maybe that sounds bad, but it really does help me to say, okay, you can space out for a minute and just kind of rest your attention. So other things that help me if I know I have to be out and about for a while doing, kind of in public and crowds and shopping centers or stores, is pacing myself, making sure I have food, making sure I have water, and making sure that I'm kind of dressed in layers so that I can regulate my body temperature. Because that's another thing that it's like if I am hot, and I've noticed this happens a lot in the grocery store in the winter. So I go into the grocery store and I'm cold, so I've got my coat on. And then maybe halfway, 3/4 of the way through, I start feeling unwell and overwhelmed. And it took me a little while to figure out like, oh, I'm hot. I'm getting hot. And so I just take my coat off. I mean, it just sounds so simple and obvious, but I guess I didn't understand how much that intense sensory input of being too hot was affecting my level of attention, my mood, fatigue, all of that. So I don't know if anybody else can relate to that, but um, so, just making sure that you're taking care. And so the same thing with hunger, right? If you get too hungry and you're feeling lightheaded or spacey, having trouble focusing, just stopping and having a little snack can really go a long way. And I'm saying these things and I know they sound like, I don't know, I'm thinking they sound really obvious. Maybe I'm the only one who didn't get this, but anyway, those are some of the things that I have found that work for me with being out in the world. I'll kind of think about if there's other things also. Actually, there is, but I think I'm going to save that for another video, and that has to do really with your energetic boundaries. And because highly sensitive a lot of time goes along with being an empath and maybe not necessarily having the best energetic boundaries. And I'll talk more about that if that's kind of a new concept in another video, and what you can do to, I say protect yourself, and it is protect yourself, but is kind of in a different way than you normally hear about it. So I think that's it for right now. Please share in the comments if any of you experience these things or strategies maybe that have helped you if you figured out some things. It's always good to learn from each other.